Hi, I am Joyce Reitman, the Director of Advanced Clinical Experience and Co-Teaching at the University of Southern Indiana. I want to thank you so much for hosting a student teacher during this semester. The purpose of this short video is to explain to you how to complete the assessments for your student teacher. You will be completing an assessment at midterm and the same assessment again at the end of the semester. The next screen you see will be the first page of the assessment. This screen shows the first page of the assessment. Before I start explaining it, I want to remind you that the email I sent you gave you directions for getting to this assessment. You'll be logging into MyUSI and onto TK20. So follow the directions in the email to get to this assessment. You'll notice at the top in the title, this is the midterm assessment for an elementary education major. We're using this as a sample. It will apply to everyone except one part of the assessment will be unique to the major of the student. So part 2 would be specific to an elementary education major or a mathematics major or a special education major or an early childhood major. So what I'm showing you applies to everyone. Starting at the top, you will complete the teacher candidate's name, typing in the box, completing the date when you do the assessment, and typing in your name as the cooperating teacher. These items must be filled in for the assessment to be submitted at the end, so please don't skip anything at the top. The purpose of this assessment is to assess the teacher candidate's professional performance. It is completed by you, the cooperating teacher. This one is the midterm, but as I said, there will also be one at the end of the semester, the exact same assessment. The instructions, there are 3 ratings that we use. The rubric will give details for the specific criteria listed, but you will be choosing one of these 3 ratings for each criteria. Unsatisfactory indicates the teacher candidate does not meet the expectations for pre-service teachers. But again, there will be an explanation in the box. A proficient rating indicates the teacher candidate meets the expectations for pre-service teachers. And an exemplary rating indicates that the teacher candidate exceeds the expectations for pre-service teachers. This rating is reserved for truly exceptional performance. Okay, part 1 is the learner and learning, and you'll see that the criteria are listed on the left down that column. Each of our assessments, regardless of what the major is, will contain 30 criteria, 30 items that you will complete. For example, 1.1, the teacher candidate applies knowledge of how students learn and develop. Going across, read what is unsatisfactory, what would proficient look like, what would exemplary look like. Think back over the performance of the student teacher and choose either unsatisfactory, proficient, or exemplary. Please note there is an NA in bold with a box under the criteria. You'll see this under each criteria. This is hardwired by TK20, and we do not use this, so please leave that blank. The other place to leave blank is the score box over on the right. That's hardwired. TK20 may fill this in with numbers and may total it, but you do not do anything with this. So you're just clicking the button that goes with either unsatisfactory, proficient, or exemplary. So you'll go through each of these items in part 1. In part 2, content knowledge is covered. This is the section that will be unique to the major of the student teacher that you have. Again, the same 3 ratings to choose. Don't fill in the score box. Don't choose NA. You'll see that rubric score and rubric mean at the bottom of each section. Don't do anything with that. That's a TK20 hardwire. Part 3 is instructional practices. Continue choosing the rating for each of those. You'll get to Part 4, which is professional responsibilities. Same directions, keep following through. Part 5 is called Teacher Candidate Overall Rating. This is a new section to our assessments that none of our cooperating teachers have used before, so I want to give more specific directions with this. You'll see that we begin with unsatisfactory, and you need to go back through the assessment and count the number of unsatisfactory ratings this teacher candidate received. We hope that this number is 0, and whatever the number is, you enter it in this box, 0, 1, 2. Next, you see proficient, and you do the same thing. Go back through the assessment, count the number of proficient ratings this teacher candidate received, enter the number in the box to the right. The third rating is exemplary. Go back through your assessment and count the number of exemplary ratings this teacher candidate received. Enter the number in the box to the right. As a note, there are 30 items total, so these 3 numbers should add up to 30 because you must choose a rating for each criteria. You cannot leave them blank. If you leave one blank, the assessment won't be able to be submitted. So you might check yourself and make sure you have 30 with those 3 numbers added there. Now you're going to use those numbers to determine the overall rating for the teacher candidate. Notice the criteria 5.1 says overall the teacher candidate. Unsatisfactory means that the teacher candidate performed at the unsatisfactory level on at least 6 criteria. So you would go back and see what number you entered there on unsatisfactory. If it was 6 or more, then the overall rating is an unsatisfactory. The proficient column says that the teacher candidate performed at the proficient or exemplary level on at least 25 criteria. So go to your numbers at the top and add your proficient and your exemplary, add those together. If it equals 25 or more, then choose the proficient overall rating. On the right is the exemplary column. This says the teacher candidate performs at the exemplary level on at least 15 criteria and receives no ranking of unsatisfactory. So you would need to look at your numbers there at the top, look at exemplary. They need at least 15 exemplary ratings, and they cannot have any unsatisfactory ratings to get an exemplary. Even if they had 20 exemplary, if they had 1 unsatisfactory, they do not get an overall exemplary rating. Again, leave that score box empty. Don't choose NA. Don't do anything with rubric score or rubric mean. The next box shows an area for your comments. You may type comments in here, especially if you've rated the teacher candidate as unsatisfactory. It's very helpful, especially at midterm, for the teacher candidate to get an explanation of that. And be sure to use the term teacher candidate or student teacher and not the teacher's given name. You do not do anything with total score, and you do not do anything with total mean. Now at the bottom it says save and cancel. When you have it completed the way you want it, you're going to click save. Now this is the last screen we can show you at this time, but when you're doing this for real, when you click save, you will be taken to another screen that had the title of the assessment, and you will see Save, and you may also see Submit. If you get a green Submit button, click Submit. If not, just click Save again. That means your work is saved. If you made a mistake, you could go back and change it, but it's going to be saved, and then at the end of the semester, when you complete your final assessment, you will submit everything. Thank you for listening, and I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions with completing the assessment, you can ask your university supervisor, or you can contact me by phone or email. Thank you so much.